There's nothing better than turning on like a financial podcast or, getting a financial book read. I love taking in personal finance knowledge, right? And one of the first times I got personal finance knowledge was a book way back in the day by Dave Ramsey, right? The Total Money Makeover. And when I started reading it, I was like, this makes sense. This makes sense. I agree with a lot of this, and this guy clearly knows more than I do. So what did I do? I tried to follow his advice to the letter. And through personal finance books, I learned how to pay off my debt and pay it off faster, right? The importance of saving my money for an emergency, and then why I needed to start saving for my retirement sooner rather than later. Like, start right now, right? Just go. And over the years, I've also learned that clinging on to every piece of advice from these financial gurus, it can backfire. It's not always the best advice, right? So we're going to talk about a couple of these. I want to go over three of them specifically. What I would consider probably three of the more prominent ones. They've been around for a while. Pretty much everyone's heard their name. So the first one, that's who we're going to talk about, is Dave Ramsey, right? That's who I just brought up. So Dave Ramsey, a lot of people's big problem with him is oversimplified investing advice, right? That's what a lot of criticism is about Dave Ramsey. I mean, he advises his clients, his readers, his listeners. He's got his show, all these books, but he tells them, he assumes that they'll get a 12% annual return on their investments when saving for retirement. Now, he originally claims that the annual return of the stock market has been 12% since 1926, even after adjusting for inflation. He has since changed that language on his website to say 12% without, saying anything about inflation, right? So it's just 12%. So, when he talks about stuff like this, a lot of people give him criticism for it. And he doesn't necessarily have bad advice. It's just everyone think they try to tell him it's oversimplified. You can't make it that simple. Well, a lot of stuff he talks about, sure, it's very simple, but that doesn't make it any less true, right? And this advice has caused a stir among financial advisors claiming that, his advice is far from accurate. And that's not quite the case. Some of his advice might be too simple, and, 12% might seem a little crazy, but it's really not that far off, right? So, it's one of those things where we try to say, do your own research, take it with a grain of salt. Now, second person we want to talk about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, a lot of people were completely consumed when they were reading his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Right? He has a unique perspective when it comes to personal finance. Some of his most controversial pieces of advice are: your home is not an asset. You should leverage debt to grow your wealth. And a lot of people are like, oh, debt, debt, debt. I'm not doing that. Leverage. Oh, scary, scary, scary. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong. Now, it seemed that Kiyosaki's debt leveraging it's worked out quite well until he had to file for bankruptcy for his company. Ugh. Right? After a court ruling in 2012, one of Kiyosaki's companies, Rich Global LLC, was ordered to pay the Learning Annex nearly $24 million. That's when the Rich Dad Poor Dad author was forced to file bankruptcy for that company. I mean, leverage can grow your wealth, but you're also increasing the risk of losing everything. It doesn't work for every situation. So again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. What's best for me is not best for you. I might be able to risk a lot, and you can't. I might be able to, leverage my house to do something, whereas you're not in the financial position to do that. It just depends on your situation and what's best for you, which is why we always say around here, do your homework. Do your homework. Please, for the love of God, do your homework. Do what's best for you. Right? Stop worrying about what someone did. If you see what someone did, like he's leveraging his debt, look into it. That's what you need to just look into it. Now, the third person we want to talk about, Susie Orman. Now, I've got to admit, I've never really read one of her books, but she's still seen as her followers see her as like a financial goddess, right? Just like, oh, she preaches financial advice, yet her special prepaid card, it's far from ideal. The approved card, that's what it's called, by Susie Orman, is meant for those who have too low of a credit score to get a regular checking account and can't deposit $1,000 a month for the lower fee green dot card. I mean, the approved card charges users a hefty $3 purchase fee, $3 monthly maintenance fee, and $2 ATM fee. Great, right? Great deal. Yeah, that's what we want. We want more fees. Go ahead, just pile all the fees on. You're charging me all these fees to make it so that I can use a credit card. So you're gonna charge me $8 a month? So no. Now get out of here. I mean, even more than that, because it really depends on how much you use it. A $3 purchase fee, $3. I'm not sure, but imagine that's $3 for every purchase. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you pay for gas, every time you buy anything, boom, $3. Now, come on. That's just a ripoff. Just don't do that. So look, these three people, they've got some good information. Not everything they say is great, though. Not everything they do is great, though. It's worked for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Now, have these financial gurus helped hundreds, millions of people climb out of debt, help them save for retirement, and just help them learn personal finance basics? Oh, undoubtedly. Like, irrefutably. Of course they have. Could people get hurt by following every single piece of advice from these people? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. You can pick up some nuggets of wisdom here and there from all three of these financial gurus, but that doesn't mean you need to follow all of their advice to the letter. Remember to follow finance basics and formulate your own plan. Everyone's financial situation is different, and you should always take financial advice with a grain of salt. What's best for you is not best for me, is not best for your parents, right? Do your research and figure out what's best for you. Just like what would be really great is if you could just hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. I mean, that would be fantastic. I mean, that's what I think anyways, and I hope you do too. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and meet me in the next video, and then I'll see you there. Y'all have a good one.